Topic today is African American youth and incarceration. Of course, we have with us Mr. RJohnson and Mr. KWalker. And of course, gentlemen, before we had our first commercial break, we were talking about some of the causes of some of these incarcerations. But now let's look at, and I think it has generally been agreed that drugs play a very significant role in that. But now let's look at some of the things that are being done by people who are outside of the institution, as well as people who are inside of these institutions, to try to decrease the number of young people, not only African Americans, but the number of young people who will eventually become involved in this whole incarceration system. Let's start off by talking about your organization, Choices and Effects, Mr. Johnson.
My program is a program that's focused toward helping our youth. Most importantly, this program is set to stimulate the thoughts of our youth, as I alluded to earlier. If we can, I believe, stimulate the thoughts of our youth, if we can help our youth process information, if they can process their situation, they may not react quite as harshly as they have. I think Choices and Effect is a program that, from my experiences, through my experiences, I find that if we introduce youth to what choices really are and what their consequences are. See, I think a lot of time our youth haven't realized the consequence of choices. They think, oh, I can handle it. That's how I thought. Oh, I can handle any situation. But I didn't really give thought to who it was going to affect. It affected my family. It affected my friends. This program would be one that would give youth an opportunity to really think about who they're going to affect, society as a whole, when they make some of the choices that they make.
In other words, the choice does not only affect the individual, but it has rippling effects, and it affects other folks. Would you agree with that, Reverend Walker?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, what about your organization? You're involved with the New Beginnings organization, Reverend. Let's talk about that.
That's correct. I got involved with New Beginnings back in October of this year as a result of working with another inmate out there that's been incarcerated for about 20 years. And he set it up where I could come out and speak to the group. I had no idea exactly what New Beginnings was all about or anything like that. But when I got out there and I spoke to the group, and then I found out what these brothers was all about, you know, the mission, the goals, the purposes, and everything, then I became attached to it, because being an ex-convict myself, you know, I looked at that and I saw that there was a need. And you got some individuals out there. And what you need to understand, Dr. Haney, is that the public is not aware of a whole lot of things that happens within the walls of the prison system. There's a message that is sent out to the public that, in a sense, does not speak to all the aspects of prison life. The only thing we hear about prison is the negative things. We follow the individual from the crime scene to the door of the prisons. And then after that, the ball is dropped. Nobody else knows what goes on or anything like that. When I went to prison, I need to say that I needed to be there. I was a criminal. I did what they said I did. I was strung out on drugs, and I hurt and harmed people, and I did all those things that justified my being incarcerated in the system. But you know, there are people that are in the system that, yeah, they're supposed to be there, but while there is a positive side of that individual, and there are brothers in that system that have gone in there, and they have, the light has come on, and they have seen the difference, the error of their way, so to say, and they have begun to develop themselves both spiritually and mentally and intellectually while incarcerated in the system. And now they're in a position right now whereas they want to give back to the community, to society, to keep others from coming into that system, because a lot of people just don't realize and just don't understand or don't know just what goes on in prison. So therefore, the formation of the group New Beginnings organization out there, based upon these brothers, these inmates wanting to share their experience, their strength, and their hope with these younger people, affording them an opportunity to get some information, not to imply or to use any scare tactics or anything like that, but to educate them through a system or a process of education, letting them know what prison life is really all about. Because their friends will go into one of these little side camps somewhere or something like that, and it's not really the real prison that, you know, that's there. And then they'll come out and they'll come out with this negative, this positive image about prison life. And you know, this is there, you know, macho this and macho that, and they get the wrong impression. Then they go in and they find out that they had been lied to. You know, and so what New Beginnings is trying to do, what we wanted to do, is to get our youth bring them out into the prison system, allow the men in New Beginnings to also come out of the prison system to educate our youth so that they won't end up. And it goes all the way back to what my brother's talking about, choices. You know, let these people know that as a result of some of the choices that they made, they've been incarcerated in the prison system for 20, 25, and 30 years as a result of those choices. And that's what we're basically wanting to do, is to educate and to show these people and let society know that it's not always negative. Everybody in prison is not low down, dirty, and just need to be there. There are people in prison, as evidenced by this group New Beginnings, that have truly made a change in their lives, and as a result of making those changes, they're willing to give back to the community so that some other young person don't have to come in there and experience what they're experiencing. You know,
In a real sense, Mr. Johnson, they are doing what some of these earlier programs, don't follow me or don't follow my example. Is that what we're saying?
Exactly. It's sort of like don't follow me, but in another sense, it's still based on your choice. I have to keep alluding to that because everything that we do in life is based on our choice. When we look back into the beginning, the first thing that was given to mankind was a choice, and he chose what he chose. But I say that what we have here is introducing our society, our community, our men, women, boys and girls to new beginning, to choices. And I think if we can really, really let that word go forth and get the type of people to bag us, to come and say, okay, I want to help you do something with choices, I really do think we could get a message to our youth that would be well worth it.
So over the last minute, Reverend Walker, so it's education.
it's education. Yeah, because, you know, people need to know that this is what happens when you do this. You get what you get when you do what you do. And these people want to pool their collective experiences together and share what they have experienced in life so that these youth, and let them know, because you have to understand that a person that has been through something can better relate to somebody that's in the process of going through. You know, you can get a better understanding about how it is to be a drug addict from somebody that has been a drug addict, you know, and can tell you about the effects of drug addiction and all that stuff. And the same thing when it comes down to incarceration and the choices and things that you make in life that leads to that incarceration. So that's what New Beginnings is all about, is to educate people, these young people, and let them know, you know, to get the smoke screen out of the way and let them know what prison life is really all about, and to teach them, you know, teach them respect, how to respect the rights of other people, and honor their parents, and just different things dealing with different areas.
Very good. And let me interrupt here, Reverend Walker, for our second commercial break, after which we'll be back following this announcement. Reverend Kelvin Walker.